Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Boynton Beach City Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, July 16th, 2024, and the time is now 6:01 p.m. Before I continue any further, I'd like to remind everyone of our rules of civility and decorum. Speakers must first be addressed by the chair and not interrupt any other speakers. Public comments must be addressed to the commission as a whole and not any particular individual in the audience. Any hate speech, insults, personal attacks, and disruptions will not be tolerated, and you will be asked to leave should you violate these rules. We'll now turn to the city clerk for a roll call.
Mayor Penserga is absent. Vice Mayor Kelly?
Here.
Commissioner Cruz?
Here.
Commissioner Hay?
Here.
Commissioner Turkin is also absent. Vice Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Maylee. Our invocation tonight will be held by Pastor Nate Santos, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by me, Vice Mayor Amy Kelly. Let's all stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you all for this opportunity. Let us pray. Father, we stand before your presence tonight, giving you all praise and honor, recognizing that you are the authority in our lives in this world. And Father, we thank you for the men and women standing before us as officials of this beautiful city of Boynton Beach, the residents, the first responders, Lord, and all that make part of this city. Father, we ask that tonight, Lord, every discussion topic on the agenda, Father, will be incited by your word and your promise and your truth. Give us wisdom and understanding, Lord. Father, we pray that you guide them in each decision that is made, Lord, to be fair and just. We thank you, Lord. As a people, Lord, we cry out to you for not only the city, but as a nation, Lord. And we pray for your peace. We pray for your guidance, Lord. Father, we thank you again for this privilege to stand before you, and we invoke your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Pastor Santos. We're now moving on to agenda approval, additions, deletions, and corrections. And before I move on to my colleagues, I know that staff has recommended some changes to the agenda tonight regarding having two separate public comments. Although I'm not opposed to considering these changes, I was disappointed that they were added to the agenda without having input from my colleagues. And since there are two of us not here tonight, I would like to suggest that we have a special meeting to discuss this further, any changes to the agenda or how we have done it in the past. So that is my position, and so if I can have a motion on that change, we can then move on to.
I agree with you, Commissioner Kelly. I also had those discussions with staff during my agenda review. I think it's important to allow the public to speak during a time that is within the beginning of the meeting. So I'll go ahead and make a motion to make public comment. Would it be 5?
It would be motion to amend the agenda to move public comment to one time prior to the beginning of the commission, or the consent items.
Okay. I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to move public comment to be where it is now, number 5, but just to stay there prior to consent agenda.
Correct.
Do I have it?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Hay.
Vice Mayor, I think you also wanted to, a motion for a special meeting to discuss potential changes to public comment and comment cards.
Correct. Yes.
There's a motion to entertain that.
Yep, I'll go ahead and make a motion to add this to a future agenda as requested by Commissioner Kelly.
It would be a special meeting. So it'd be like a workshop, but a special
Right.
meeting.
Sure.
Okay. A motion for a special meeting to discuss these items.
So
I'll
moved.
second that with discussion.
Okay.
Going forward, from this point on, any changes to how we proceed up here in this dais should be discussed among the council and not any one individual, because we may or may not approve it. One individual does not dictate how we operate up here. It is up to this council and for someone to come along, whether it be staff, mayor, or whomever, and try to implement something that we have not discussed is unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank
So
you, Commissioner.
based upon that, we need a vote on both motions.
Okay,
And we will not be doing these tonight.
correct,
Correct.
correct.
Then I second that.
So on the first motion to amend the agenda to make public comment one time, or public audience one time before consent, Commissioner Cruz, you made a motion. Commissioner Hay, you seconded that. All in favor?
With
Aye.
discussion, I do have one other statement I want to make about the consent agenda. To me, it is totally unfair to move consent agenda to the end of our agenda because people have to go to work. And we have stayed in here until 2 in the morning sometimes, okay? And I was blindsided by this, and I don't like it. And I want from, again, going forward, any changes must be discussed by this council. Okay, with that, I will vote aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Hay. So all in favor of the first motion?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. The second motion is the motion also to discuss further at a special meeting comment cards, correct? Is that what the second motion is?
As well as public comment.
As well as public comment. Can I have that motion,
So
please?
moved.
Motion,
I originally had thought about if we could, because before you mentioned it, I was also thinking of bringing that up to be discussed at a commission meeting. Obviously, if it's like a shorter meeting or maybe like as soon as possible, whenever the board believes is appropriate. But if we can avoid having another additional meeting so that people already know it's Tuesday, they'll be here.
Right.
I would be in support of that if you guys are okay with it, or if you guys want to do a special meeting like on a different day.
well, I think the reason that staff suggested the special meeting is because we have other things that need to happen during that special meeting, and it would make sense to allow us enough time to really discuss it and make a decision, as opposed to having it during a commission meeting where we're watching the clock and trying to be mindful of everyone's time. It would just allow us to have the opportunity to discuss that to its fullest, as opposed to making a, rush decision.
Okay. So do we want to set a date for that, or do we just want to leave it as TBD until next meeting when everyone's?
I think TBD, because I think
okay.
staff still is trying to schedule that meeting.
Let me also.
We have, I'm sorry.
ahead. Go
We
ahead.
have a meeting scheduled for July 30th. We're doing our Commission on Ethics training. So I think that would be a good time, maybe after the training, to go ahead and have that special discussion items, as well as if anything doesn't get accomplished today, then we can add that as well. And since you guys will already be here for the Commission on Ethics, I thought that would be a good time to go ahead and discuss it. Because that's the Commission on Ethics training is that night at 6 o'clock.
How long is that training, like an hour or two?
I can look and I'll look real quick.
Okay. Okay, well, let's have that. We can always circle back, and if we need to put it back onto a commission meeting, then we can. So can I have that motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second with comments.
Okay, Commissioner Hay?
I also want to make it clear that we don't have to wait until that workshop to understand a few ethical things that needs to be done up here on this dais. And that, what I'm talking about is this. Whenever you are whispering, getting out of your seat and talking to somebody else, and then I look and I see you going out in the hallway and coming back, all of this is public record. Even the notes that we write down on any kind of paper that we have up here is public records. So we need to really have a workshop on how to conduct ourselves up here on this dais. Because I've seen too much things that are not in line with where things should be run. So we'll talk about that in the workshop.
Yes,
Thank you,
we can
Commissioner
add
Hay.
that as well to the workshop on July 30th. And I checked the calendar, and the Commission on Ethics training is only 2 hours. so 6 to 8. So then either prior to that, to a beginning, or immediately after, we can have a discussion item on those things.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So we have a motion by Commissioner Cruz, second by Commissioner Hay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None opposed. The motion passes unanimously. So, Commissioner Cruz, did you have any additions, anything further to add to the agenda?
No, the only thing that I would like to change is if we can start looking at the future agenda items at some point and have a discussion on when we're going to have these conversations. One thing that I requested before was looking at code enforcement and seeing if we could make them part of our, what was it called, emergency operations?
PAC.
Or
So I will tell you, my office is working on emergency revisions to the emergency provisions within the code because they are scattered throughout the code. But one of the things we noticed is that they are part of the SEIU union, and they do have emergency pay in their agreement. So then
I
there's
think that's something
CBA
that the
agreement.
commission can discuss and
Okay.
we can have that conversation. But what I wanted to request is for us to have maybe that added to the agenda in August, preferably maybe the first meeting of August, so that it's within the time frame that we're still discussing budget. That's it. That's the
Okay.
only thing I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cruz. Commissioner Hay, did you have anything else to add to the agenda before we move on? You're good?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Hay, or not Commissioner Hay, Commissioner Cruz, I actually put on my notes, because that was one thing that I talked to staff about, was to add a brief discussion maybe on under new business tonight to talk about those future agenda items and a way that maybe we can kind of push those forward. So if you want to have a quick discussion on that tonight, under regular agenda, just as far as how we can start moving those forward, I had some ideas that I talked to staff about, and I wanted to mention it and see if you guys were good with proceeding that way.
Sure, I have no problem with that.
Okay, perfect. So we'll add that to 10C, and Commissioner Hay, that's just to further discuss how we can move some of these future agenda items forward. So we'll discuss that under 10C, if that is okay. And so then, if I can have a motion to approve
So
the
moved.
agenda as amended.
Approve agenda as amended.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Cruz and a second by Commissioner Hay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None. The motion passes unanimously. All right. Informational items by members of the commission. Let's begin with Commissioner Hay.
Yes, I do have a couple items I want to mention. And I think it's in order that we congratulate our Boynton Beach Little League team who just won the state title in Tampa.
Awesome.
And with that, they're on their way going to North Carolina to participate in another tournament. So we wish them the best. And to say just as much with our Bulldogs, always been having a good track record, and they're doing a wonderful thing. We were able to have the ribbon cutting on this past Saturday. For those of you who have not seen that field, you need to take a drive out there and take a look. It is absolutely beautiful. We have people basically lining up to utilize that field. It's AstroTurf. We got new bleachers, press box, the lighting. I mean, the concession stand. The only thing that's missing right now is the canvas is on the opponent side, and we're burning up in the sun on the home side. But that's going to get fixed. That's going to get fixed. Right, Andrew? Okay. But we were very pleased to have on Saturday Heisman Trophy winner Lamar Jackson to come out and make himself present, talk to the kids, threw a few passes with the kids, and just had a great time. And he's a great guy. I was out there, and I came back on Sunday because they had something called a 7-on-7, which was quite interesting. Teams across the state came to play, and they had a little stipend that they got for winning. I don't know the amount, but I did hear somebody drop a figure like 2,500 for one team and some to another. So, guys, we have a lot to be proud of here in the city of Boynton. And, eyes have not seen, as they say, ears have not heard how great the Lord is going to be blessing Boynton Beach down the road. So I'm just proud to be a part of what's happening with Boynton now. Our challenges, we're going to meet those. Again, you guys have my number. You see me all the time, so just let me know. We have good staff here, and if they're not doing their part, we'll address that. But I just want to let the city of Boynton know that we have several projects as far as affordable housing and other projects and events that are going on in the city of Boynton that are coming close to closure, especially on MLK. Many of you, like myself, want to see that road paved in front of the Heart of Boynton apartment. And before we give out the final complete certificate of occupancy, that will be taken care of, okay? Either by us or by Lewis, but that will be taken care of. So again, thank you for your cooperation, and let's just keep doing what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Haig. Commissioner Cruz, do you have any informational items?
I do not have any disclosures. Thank you. No.
Thank you. I do not, although I do not have any disclosures, informational items. I did also attend the Lamar Jackson event on Saturday, and it was hot, hot. But it was a lot of fun, and the kids had a blast. So thank you to staff, Parks and Rec, for coming together and making sure that was a success for the kids. It was a great time. Okay, so moving on now to administrative 4A, the advisory board appointments. We do have a couple of vacancies. I will go through them really quick, and then the Art Advisory Board has 2 vacancies. Building Board of Adjustments and Appeals has quite a few. Education and Youth Advisory Board has 1 vacancy. Historic Resources and Preservation Board, there are 2 applicants. Commissioner Turkin is the first. Since he is not here, I would entertain a motion to defer his appointment until he is present.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so then the next appointment is my regular appointment, and I am going to select Valentina Bruggelia to that seat.
Okay.
If I can have a second.
Second.
Okay.
You all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Discussion regarding change to the second commission meeting in September. Staff, do you want to discuss this?
Yes, Vice Mayor Kelly. Due to the conflict with you guys heading to Denver, I know there's 2 members. We still may have quorum, though. There's still maybe 3 members of the commission, but staff would rather we have a full board here.
But I thought we also had to move this because
of the trim,
county's
correct.
final budget hearing.
But you
too.
also have a conflict with the conference in Denver.
Okay, so there's only 3 of us here tonight, so should we just direct staff to look at other dates, or do we need to come up with a date tonight?
My only concern, and Maylee can certainly weigh in, is that the time frame is really tight, so I don't want to put it off too much longer. So we can either add that to part of the special meeting on July 30th, or we can move it to August 6th at the very latest.
We don't have to decide tonight,
No,
because we have two council members that are missing.
correct.
And
Right.
it will be fair for them to get their input.
So let's add that
Correct,
to
and
the
that's what
agenda
I was
for
saying.
July
You could either
30th.
move it to the 30th or the 6th.
Right,
Okay.
so let's move it to July 30th, and then hopefully we can get a date on that day. Purchases over $10,000, that's just administrative. Community support funds, Commissioner Hay, do you want to discuss this, or?
Yeah, again, what this is for my fund, I want to give $1,000 to the Bulldogs to give them a good kickoff in addition to whatever funding that we can come up with. So I would like to, that to be ready to present at their first game, which is whenever that is. It's good. I want to be able to present that check for $1,000.
Great. Do you want to make the motion?
I make that
Make,
motion.
okay.
Yes.
Second?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we're going to move on to public audience. We're moving on to public audience. As always, it's 3 minutes per person. It's non-transferable, and this is not a Q&A. Should you need follow-up from staff, please see any of the members of the staff in the back of the room. Same rules apply as always. The speaker must address the commission and not any individual in the audience. No hate speech, insults, personal attacks, disruptions will not be tolerated. You'll be asked to leave. Should you violate these rules, we ask that you be courteous to the other people in the room. After we've concluded the people in person, we will go to those that are online. We have two podiums, so if people would like to, you can be on either side. Commissioner Hay, are you in charge of the timer? You have the timer?
Yes, I do have that, don't I? Okay.
On the timer, thank you.
8 o'clock.
Good afternoon. Mike McCray, 806 Northwest 4th Street.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, go
Okay,
ahead.
go ahead.
It's still ticking. Start back. Let's go.
Okay, you will be. I'll, that's value.
Thank you.
Okay, now start.
Thank you. Mike McCray, 806 Northwest 4th Street, Boynton Beach, Florida. I recognize that we're not supposed to be calling names, but I want to say to the commissioner tonight that represent District 2, thank you for saying truthful words tonight in regards to the agenda, formulating that, and also the one that you said about on ethics, because I watched a lot of ethics violations going on here in these meetings. But that's not really the reason I'm up here tonight. I really want to talk about illegal fireworks here in this city. My friend Jason Robinson, home was destroyed because of illegal fireworks here in this city. It could have landed on my home. It was right behind Commissioner Hay's home, and we need to do something about it. I want to say to the Boynton Beach Police Department, men and women, thank you for doing an outstanding job. And especially to the men and women of the fire department, thank you as well. You all was awesome. I got a chance to see firsthand. But fireworks are illegal. On the 4th of July, they was on the corner of MLK Boulevard selling illegal fireworks. On Northeast 11th Avenue selling illegal fireworks. Our police department rides by, look at them selling them and don't do anything about it. I hope we don't get a lawsuit by this man losing his home, because I'm just saying, it's on the books that illegal fireworks are illegal here in this city. Also, it happened in Delray. So whatever you all could do to stop illegal fireworks, please stop it. We was up until 2 o'clock in the morning. Listen to fireworks still going off. We are citizens, we work, we need our rest, and it needs to stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCray. Next.
Yes, Mark Carey
Now,
George.
one second,
wait a
Mr.
minute.
Kara George.
No
Just
problem.
1 second.
Then go to timer, go back to last value. What happened? You take it. You take it.
Thank you, Mr. Carrageorge, for your patience. Give us just one second.
No problem.
I know what you're saying.
Go ahead.
Hi, Mark Harris, George, resident of the city. I'm concerned about something that I thought we had put to bed a long time ago. This city has gone a long way to be a nonviolent city. We're not like other cities when people protest and turn over police cars and set things on fire and rob stores. That doesn't happen in our city. The reason it doesn't happen is because a group of citizens, along with the clergy of this city, work in cooperation with our police department to make sure that that type of stupidity is not tolerated. Recently, one of our elected officials received a death threat. That is unacceptable in this city. And I hope and pray that the police and legal find that person that did that threat and prosecute to the maximum extent of the law. This is Boynton Beach, folks. We have marched against violence. We have marched against drugs and gangs. And we've done a good job as a community to understand that, yes, you can protest. Yes, you can disagree. But in Boynton Beach, we do it this way. We do it prayerfully, we do it peacefully, and we do it properly. And let's get back to that. And let's prosecute this individual to the maximum. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, and we have two podiums that we can bounce back and forth to.
Am I all right?
You're ready.
Hello, everybody. I'm David Merker. I'm a former city commissioner in this city, and I'd like to make some simple, direct points to everybody, the commission and the people. The people emphatically, indubitably need to be heard. People need to hear one another. The mayor and commission need to hear the people. By the way, the people vote for you and put you into office. Simply, and has always been, with raising children, getting educated, and anything else we may do in our lives, communication among us is a must. People need to understand the mindset, the heart, and the rhythm of how people are thinking. Why? So we can come together as people. An open door is a must. So when the commission here talks about communication, I want you to think of yourselves. I want you to think of the people. And as the former speaker, Mark Carrageorge, stated, we live in Boynton Beach. Let's be proud.
Thank you. Next person, the podium.
Good evening. My name is Pernell Davis. I'm here on behalf of my family to talk about the possibility of Officer Shorn getting his job back. First and foremost, I think it was a problem that we wasn't notified by the city. To have to look on the news or see Facebook posts about it was, I think, from all the good work we've done in the past during that situation in, conjunction with the city, the police and all that, I think we was owed more than just to open up our phone and see that. I think it was something we could have, had to sit down and talked about, and we had a better understanding instead of having to find out that way, and definitely reliving some of that hurt. You know what I mean? Some of that hurt from our family, knowing what we went through, and the relationship that we had. So we feel like, it's time to get that relationship back. And we just feel like it's been no effort from the city after that announcement to even kind of get that relationship back. But we're here, we're willing, you know, to have that relationship. But we also want you to know that it's definitely a slap in the face to even think about the possibility of getting a job back, which I know last meeting we was here, and to see what played out when that was a time for us to really start speaking and start bridging the gap back. And for the way it played out, it shows why we didn't get a call, because it's like the commission is not a commission. It's like the city is being, we don't know how the city is being ran right now the way it looked last week. So for us, that's a extreme dysfunction that in a time like this and something that's about to happen, we need the commission to be together definitely in a situation like that for us and our family, because we counting on you guys to make the right decision. And just the little portion that you did speak about last week, you said you had 90 days, and my question is, why wait 90 days, city attorney? Like, why wait what are we waiting on? If it's something that's that pressing and it needs to be addressed, why wait 90 days? That's something that when we found out the situation, like y'all having a special meeting, from what I heard, we could have a special meeting about that. Like, that's something that shouldn't take the whole 90 days and keep the family in limbo. We're already hurting as it is, but to keep us in limbo for 90 days, I think is extremely unprofessional, and it's definitely a disservice to our family.
Next person, podium. Come on up.
I was trying to figure out who got the clap.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Hawkins, live a city of Boynton Beach, 2760 Northeast 5th Court. It said, we, the undersigned citizens of the Boynton Beach, Florida, and the surrounding cities petition the Boynton Beach City Commissions to appeal the aberration unjust decision to reinstate Officer Mark Sean to the Boynton Beach Police Department. The Internal Affairs file on Officer Mark Sean clearly reflects the multiple disciplinary infraction, 10 written reprimands, and 3 suspensions, including the 2 for violating police department pursuit policy. Officer Sean has a history of showing no regard for the policies and the rules he swore to uphold. He has involved in 3 high-speed chases that led to the death of 3 black victims: 38-year-old Cyrus Deal, 5-year-old Jaden Ridian, and most recently, 13-year-old Stanley Davis III. The citizens of Boynton Beach have no faith in this officer, who has shown no regard for abiding by the rules that govern him. His reinstatement will not be only ingracious, but also an insult to the families of the victim. His reinstatement will send a message that the elected official do not value terms set forth by policies and expressions in disregard for the lives and the rights of the citizens of Boynton Beach. We insist that you listen to the voices and the concerns of your constituents. Hashtag, it's just not right.
Thank you. Next person to the podium, please.
Good evening, Harry Woodworth, Boynton Beach. First, I'd like to thank all 3 commissioners for bringing up the obvious problems with the agenda tonight, specifically item 12, and fixing that. And then I would like to just say thank you 1,000 times for the spine that was shown to take control of the city again. You're the commission. Okay, enough of this stuff that shows up at the last minute. Just enough. It's your city, run it. Stop giving it away, stop passing the buck, get the signature back where it belongs. Let's find out what we're doing before we do it, not 3 months later when we find out what contracts and commitments have been made in the city's name, and you find out after the fact. What possible value is that? My point on that. The other thing is, wouldn't get up here if I didn't have this to say, could we have some goals, please? We don't have a single goal. A city with a $300 million budget for the second year in a row, we did a budget without a single written goal. A SMART goal, strategic, measurable, time-bound, those things. Maybe we could just have one. Let's just do beautification. I don't care. I've given up on everything else. But could we just have one goal for a $300 million city with 80,000 people and 900 employees? Is that too much to ask? I mean, really, please, one goal. That's all. I don't care. Pick one. Let's have a real goal so we can point to it and say, this is where we're going. Because right now, there's no direction. There's no horizon. There's just a bunch of talk, fantasy, if you will. We've had them for years, all these wonderful things we're going to do. Well, guess what? They don't happen by themselves. If you don't have a plan and you don't have goals, none of that stuff happens. So we can keep adding to the to-be-determined list, or we can have a conversation on the 30th and start deciding what part of that do we really want to do? What's achievable? What makes sense? What's smart? And let's just go do it. One, just one, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person.
Good evening, Pastor Richard Ames, resident of the city of Boynton Beach. Good evening, commissioners, members of the dais. Tonight I stand first and foremost as a voice that is speaking out for many as we express our heartfelt condolences on the tragic death of Stanley Davis III. I stand tonight as a voice that is speaking out for a community of citizens, of Black folks who are outraged and frustrated at the very thought of Officer Son possibly returning to the police department. I stand tonight to express the fear and frustration of Officer Son possibly rejoining this police department. How much more pain and problems does this commission intend to pour out on the very families who have lost loved ones at the hands of this individual? Tonight, you will hear from some of my colleagues and the community who will speak about justice along with injustices. You will hear about the lack of community trust, about the possibility of reinstating this officer. You will also hear about the accountability to the very people who elected each and every one of you. You will hear about the previous and current administrations, how they have been neglected, the repeated violations of this officer. Not only will you hear these comments on tonight, but you will hear them from now on until the decision is made by you, our elected officials, to not reinstate this officer. We are demanding a public response along with an action plan from city management addressing the arbitrators to reinstate this officer. We're also asking this commission to know that it is the community's desire for commitment, justice, accountability, along with restoring the trust to ensure the safety and dignity, not of just some folks, not just a few folks, but to each and every citizen of the Boynton Beach City. Hashtag, this ain't right.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening, Barbara Reedy. I have to admit some confusion and concern. On July 2nd agenda, the meeting that was abruptly adjourned, we had under new business, item 11A, the first reading of proposed ordinance 24-012, which pertained to granting the city manager authorization to execute certain contracts. That didn't happen that night because it was abruptly adjourned. And there's another item on the agenda that night. Legal added an E2L update. Both of those items seem to have been dropped somewhere from between paying attention to them. And on tonight's agenda, we have 5 items that I circled that is granting under consent agenda the city manager to sign things ranging in amount from over $200,000 to over $5 million. I'm a little bit concerned that we're considering allowing these contracts to be signed without the ordinance having been passed first or even discussed. I'm aware that the CRA City Citizen Board was disbanded because there are Florida statutes that call for elected officials to be the purse strings on tax dollars. So I would like to know what happened to the reading of that ordinance. Where did it go? And why are we allowing the city manager to sign things without the ordinance first? Thank you.
Thank you. Next person, please approach the podium.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to first thank everyone for allowing me to speak here and the rest of the council as well. My social name is Florida, and I'm a concerned citizen and a Jewish resident of Boynton Beach. I was bar mitzvahed in 2016 at a local synagogue, and 2024 represents a different time and age in our world. Social media now plays a very significant role in how people receive and communicate information. I'm the only real influencer in my knowledge that is representing Boynton Beach on social media. We reach over 8 million people a month using our platform to educate and how to save their finances and on other productive and entertaining content. I'm here on behalf of the Boynton Beach residents and Jewish community as we are trying to protect our water supply and our economic development. As an example, one of the videos I filmed with another influencer at the Boynton Beach Mall received over 50 million views. As we are aware, the Boynton Beach Mall was recently sold to a developer, which has not released plans to the public on how this is going to help the commercial development. We would love an opportunity to turn the area into booming businesses as well as affordable housing. As a very influential citizen of Boynton, we can guarantee we would be able to help find flaws in how the city is spending money and help take the right action to resolve the issue. As a concerned resident of Boynton, I would love to hear the voice of the people as whether or not would be interested in using my platform and or me to politically run for a position that would be in the best interest to serve our community. Thank you and have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. Next person, please approach the podium.
Hello, good morning. We, the family of Stanley Dale Davis III, are still mourning. And for the ones of you that have y'all mind set up, it'll be you next. Justice for Stanley Dale Davis III.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can you please state your name for the record?
Dante Todd.
Thank you. Next person, please approach the podium.
Good afternoon. My name is Evan. I'd like to waive my time for I'm a man of few words. I just want to say I am in full support of Florida JIT. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person, please approach the podium.
Good evening. My name is Diedrich Strawn. I'm the current president of the South Palm Beach County branch of the NAACP. But I'm also an attorney by trade. And I'm here to talk about agenda item 6K, and that is the possible reinstatement of Officer Song. You know, this arbitration opinion and award that was issued back in May, I have to tell you, as an attorney, it was probably one of the worst written opinions I've ever seen. Not so much for the legal basis of it, but because it was riddled with contradictions. I wanted to point out the most egregious. According to the arbitrator, the essential dispute is whether Officer Song was in an active and continuous pursuit of Stanley Davis in violation of the city's pursuit policy. That question was answered with a resounding yes by the arbitrator, okay? But in deciding to reinstate Officer Song without back pay, mind you, which in and of itself is incredible. But I want you to just listen to what the arbitrator, his rationale for this. Prior discipline of Officer Song in connection with violation of the policy resulted in penalties that placed Officer Song in an insufficient notice of the importance of compliance. I want you all to marinate on that a little bit. Everybody, marinate on what that means. What the arbitrator is saying is, even though this officer was responsible or involved in incidents that caused the death of 3 people, the penalties that he suffered was such that this 20-year veteran officer had no idea how important it was for him to continue to comply with city policy. Is it just me? Or is that one of the most ridiculous things that anybody in this room has ever heard? So essentially what you're saying is this officer was too incompetent mentally to understand the gravity of all of his past indiscretions. If that's the case, that in and of itself is enough for you not to reinstate him. That in and of itself, this is what the arbitrator said. This officer should not be reinstated. He violated the policy 4 times within a 20-year period. He had other disciplinary actions in his folder. There was testimony of other officers who said if it were them, they would not have pursued. And the question was why?
Thank you, sir. Sorry. Your time
Hashtag,
in.
this ain't right. But you can make it right.
Thank you, sir.
With the right vote.
Thank you. Next person, please approach the podium.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Brandon Michael, a resident here of Boynton Beach. Thank you all for your time this evening. I would just like to say, as a resident of Boynton who enjoys a bit of, little recreational fishing here and there, I would love to see more done in terms of cleaning up the waterways, especially the local water treatment canals. Florida has such beautiful natural wildlife here. It'd be a shame to see that all go to waste. So I'm a man of few words, so that's the rest of my time. And I'd like to show my support for Florida Jit for mayor of Boynton Beach. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person, please approach the podium.
Good evening.
Evening.
My name is John Hepburn, and I was actually born and raised in Boynton Beach, Florida. Galaxy, the elementary school down the street here on Boynton Boulevard, used to be Boynton Junior High School. Played basketball there. The culture center across the street used to be our basketball court.
Sir, I'm sorry, can you just move a little closer to the microphone?
Used to be our basketball court, and it was a segregated high school. So I'm here to speak on the reinstatement of Mark Markson, the police officer. So often we hide behind the rules and the laws, our certain leaders. I'm saying that to say this. I'm also a retired firefighter and a veteran, military veteran, paralegal. And I like to say that so often we hide behind the rules and regulations that exist before us. So I like to pose this question to each and every person that's here today, the commission members, as well as everyone here. This question: if that officer was black, and the kid that he chased with that terrible background that he already have, and he happened to be white, not only would they have gotten rid of him and fired him, he would have been prosecuted, let alone to reinstate him. Again, I'm gonna ask that question. If the officer was black and the kid was white, and regardless of what we think of who caused it or what caused it or whatever, he would not only have been fired, but he would have been prosecuted. And we wouldn't be having this meeting here today. And if we did, this chambers, it would be packed with my white counterparts. And really you commissioners might even be attacked by my certain white counterpart. Let's just keep it real. Let's keep it transparent. So that question I pose to you, think about it. If the officer was white, if the officer was black, the kid was white, would we reinstate this man, let alone keep him? We would have been trying to prosecute him. Think about that.
Thank you, sir. Next person, please approach the podium.
Hello, my name is Karen Reinhardt, a citizen of Boynton Beach for almost 30 years. I have attended meetings before, and I've watched this city just go through so many changes. It's just terrible, but I have to bring to attention something that's going on in our community right now that I'm sure that a lot of people do not know about this. But Boynton Beach without our,
Ma'am, can you just speak into the microphone?
okay,
so that we can
Boynton
hear you?
Beach, without anybody's notice or consent, have decided to put these Wi-Fi antennas in our neighborhood. We do not know anything about these things. There has been things said that they're wireless body antennas. They will hook up to your body. They are not good. They cause cancer. Why, as a resident, why didn't anybody, you guys gave out 100 permits for this to happen in my neighborhood. There was one across the street from my house. This is not right. What is going on? They have cameras on them. They have license plate readers on them. This is just like you guys joining us up for the 15-minute cities that nobody here has ever asked for a 15-minute city. We're not asking for these polls that are going to give us cancer. What do we know what's going on? There's no discussion. You guys just do it. You put a little sign up for 1 week, and then the next thing we know, the polls are up, and now the other thing is up. This is not right. We are people that have lived here, and we have bought homes. We pay taxes. We pay for you to be here. We vote for you. And what do you do for us? You go behind our backs and do whatever you want. It is not right. I've seen so much evil. The evil on the street, the rainbow, the Black Lives Matter. Like, come on. It's just evil. And I really think that people need to go and look up what these wireless stuff is going to do to our communities. It is not good. And they're all over. And they're coming faster and faster. So if you don't want to become a 15-minute city, which you guys already volunteered us for, I don't know. We got to stand up and fight, because this is not right. It wasn't right last week when I came here, wasted my time, and you guys are up here arguing.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes. Have a good night.
Night. Next, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Ray Whiteley from Faith in Florida. Before I start reading this, I want to share about a meeting that I attended a couple months ago. And the meeting that I attended, it was in another area, but the meeting was to see the different system that failed somebody that passed away. So for 3 hours, we had leaders from the different areas sit back and examine somebody's life to see those systems that failed that person. Of course, in that meeting, I was pissed off, because what I noticed was all those systems that failed this person have been failing black and brown, black men and women forever. And we've been talking about it. I say that to say this. The death of Stanley Davis III was not simply a random act of faith. It was a direct result of years of neglect and inaction by our city leaders. The lack of policies to prevent high-speed pursuits residentially, in residential areas rather, has cost us a precious life again. How many more must we lose before change is made? Our past and present leaders have failed to address the system that led to young Stanley Davis's death. We cannot turn a blind eye to this system failure any longer. The arbitrator's decision has further fractured the already fragile trust between the community and law enforcement and the people who we vote in to represent us. To rebuild this trust, we demand transparency, accountability, and meaningful policy changes. We need a thorough review and overhaul of policing policies, officer conduct standards, and disciplinary procedures. The time for half-measured and empty promises is over. Community involvement is not just important, but it's essential. We must have a seat at the table when it comes to policies that are being crafted. Oversight mechanisms are put in place. Our voices, our experiences, and our wisdom must be valued and respected. Advisory boards made up of community leaders, activists, and residents can provide the necessary checks and balances to hold people accountable and ensure our safety and well-being. In conclusion, let us reaffirm our commitment to justice and fairness. Let us demand from our city leaders immediate and decisive action to rebuild trust, safeguard our safety, and uphold dignity to every member of our community.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Together, we must stand along strong. Let us stand united, and let us stand for justice. Hashtag this ain't right.
Thank you, Mr. Whiteley. Next person, please approach the podium.
Hello, my name is Dylan. I'm known online as AO Dylan. And I would like to first start by saying my apologies for bringing up a lighthearted concern after such a real meaningful concern from everybody in the room. I'm very sorry for everybody's loss. I would like to take the time today to reiterate Florida Jit's point on the Boynton Beach Mall. I've gotten to know him over the last couple weeks, and I gotta say, he's not only, funny and has a good message online, he's successful with it, he's also a social media genius, and I believe he could really help Boynton Beach be perceived online as a place people wanna move to. The Boynton Beach Mall would be better than the Wellington Mall, and I believe, obviously maybe not mayor, but a dialogue could be opened with Florida JIT and the commission as maybe a consultant on social media and perceiving the city as with more of an online presence. And I'd like to give up my time there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person, please approach the podium.
Good evening, Ricky Petty. Once was a wise old bird that sat on an oak. The more he sat, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he learned. Why can't you be like that wise old bird, that wise old owl? I say that to say that the community is speaking, and I hope y'all hear him loud and clear, because if y'all don't, the trust that we already have is gonna widen that gap, and we're hoping that you're gonna make the best decision based on the information that you're hearing, not only tonight, but what you're seeing in the community. So we wanna believe that you're gonna do what's right. We really do, and we hope that you do what's right. Hashtag this ain't right.
Thank you, Mr. Petty. Next person, please approach the podium.
Cindy Falco.
As you know. Is it? No, it's not on. It was.
Is it on now?
Yes. As you all know. Oh, I think your paper must keep hitting the button or something. No?
Can you please start my time? Thank you. My name is.
Hang on 1 second. Ms. DeFalco says she can reset it. Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
My name is Cindy Falco Di Corrado. As you well know, and each one of you commissioners and people in the audience that night, you saw me being accosted by a police officer named Whitey Jean, who abused me and assaulted me, a senior woman. I have written for a FOIA for information to have those tapes from in this room as my evidence and to have my FOIA, which is the Information Act, which was denied me so far, and all I do is get bunny trails to go to the police department. I go to the police department says it's not their duty. Well, they say it's the city clerk's office. Well, I sent it in again, as I've been sending it out since March and in April. I would like those videos and audio of the incident from every angle in this room. That was a black on white issue, so it's not really about color, even though I know that the black people, unfortunately, yes, they are attacked, and it is wrong. But also, senior white women have been being attacked, as you witnessed also at the last meeting. I do want to commend the commissioner for standing up that we have freedom of speech, and we should not be limited on that by a card. People are at home watching these video shows of this meeting. They can't get here. They would like to speak as well. You cannot restrict the First Amendment. Each and every one of you took an oath of office to uphold and to protect the Constitution for the United States of America. It would be committing treason against each and every American to not let their voices be heard, and we do not have to fill out a card. I'm going to piggyback right now, as I digressed, into my case where I read you the letter that the Captain Giulio sent me saying that there was no evidence of excessive abuse. I have documents here. I was in therapy for 3 months for my shoulder, and which was twisted up my back, where I was falsely arrested. We had no probable cause. This is violence against mankind. It is violence against the American people, as what you're hearing tonight, even with Stanley, the situation there. That was unacceptable. It's unacceptable to be attacked in a commissioner's meeting, to speak the truth, just sitting there. And nobody, not one, stood up and stopped this violence against myself, against that little boy Stanley, who was getting gas, and I met the girl who was in the car behind her. She was the last person to see him. It has shaken her up. She said, and that police could have walked over at that moment and said something to that young boy, but he waited for a chase on that precious young child. No one should lose their life. What is going on in Boynton Beach? I was so glad when I first moved here, and I got to tell you, I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. I've been beaten up by even the police, sitting right here in a commission's meeting. What is going on, Boynton Beach? What is going on, commissioners? And I'm sorry, but certain people do not have the right, they were not an elected official, to tell us we have to fill out an agenda card. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person, please approach the podium.
Shannon Thompson. I'm the mother of Stanley Dale Davis III. I would like to stand in the gap for the other victims' mothers, as I am not the first mother to have experienced this. I am the latest. That is so bizarre to have to stand here and say such a statement that I am the latest. It does not take 90 days to come to a conclusion. Mark's record have shown his despicable behavior. Let me refresh you guys on some facts regarding from the Internal Affairs investigation. Remember, Mark Schoen was shown on video evidence beating a restrained Black person that he was a subject of a civil matter. He was also a subject of another civil matter regarding when he sicked a dog on a fully restrained person. I don't know about you guys, but seeing my 13-year-old son lie on that asphalt, breathless, is a image that I cannot wipe out of my memory for the death of me. I don't know why this is being prolonged. There's no communication. I'm just baffled for words to even have to be standing here and constantly pleading with you guys when this should not even be a topic of discussion. His record is so despicable. I'm not understanding, what does this man have over this city, over these officials, that this needs to even be discussed of should he comes back to the force. He serves this community no purpose. His record shows that he have countless insubordinations that even his own supervisor wrote. And let's not forget, when he murdered Cyrus Dill on his file, when he was suspended, it was quoted that he was laughing and took that suspension as a day to remorse and celebrate his birthday. This is so despicable. I don't know what takes 90 days to decide the fate of this man. Part ways with him, as he serves no purpose within this community. Hashtag a pissed off Black woman and a mother.
Thank you. Next person, please state your name for the record and begin when you're ready.
My name is Dr. Monica. You hear me?
I don't.
My name is Dr. Monica Roundtree Cleckley, native citizen and resident of Boynton Beach. I first want to extend my condolences to the family of Stanley Davis III, whose brevity of life was at the hand of an officer who has a documented record of insubordination. And I can't call names, y'all say we can't call names, but someone else will be missing from that football field that has been so beautifully designed, Stanley Davis. he played football on that football field. So he too will be missed as you guys make the parade and hoorah about it. We're excited for everyone else, but Stanley Davis III will not be there. This officer had a documented record of insubordination to his superiors and a blatant disrespect to the policies and procedures which govern his employment, all due to the city's inability to produce succinct, clear, concise manner of how 20 years of his service he had bad behavior. It has been overridden to the point that what is most important is what makes the world go round. Miss Shannon, it's money. It's money. The arbitrators and those who support them, they have the money. I heard it said that holding a public office is public trust. When you hold a public office, you hold our trust. And when that trust has been violated or breached or even appears that it is, harmony has a hard time unfolding. And as commissioners elected to seats of public service, it is your duty to ensure that you are serving the interests of all the people, not just the ones you like, the ones you know, the ones that look like you, the ones that live where you live. Your duty is to serve everyone. You must uphold the roles with integrity, trust, and wisdom. And wisdom is the key thing. Hashtag this is not right.
Thank you. Thank you. Next person, please approach the podium.
Alicia Roundtree, 805 Northeast 2nd Court, Boynton Beach, Florida. All right. Good evening, everybody. As my colleagues and community members have stated, we all know that this is not right. But I want to speak from the perspective of the police officers. I have spoken to many police officers personally and privately, and they are scared. They know that if you all rehire this guy, that everything that they have tried to build with the community, with my son who's standing next to me, we go to many events, that it breaks the public's trust. So I heard all of my colleagues have said a lot of great things, and they've said the right things. But have you spoken to the police officers as well? They're scared. They now have to watch their backs to say, dang, the community is going to be upset. Now we have to watch our backs because they're upset with us. So at this point, we're just asking you all to make the right decision. I have really stayed away from this case because I have a son that wasn't 13, but he's 10 years old. And he's a good kid, just like their son was, Stanley Davis Jr. And it's like one decision away from death. And I feel for that mother and that family because, again, my son is a good kid. And it's like if he just made one wrong decision in this community, he'll be dead. And that's how a lot of our parents are feeling, the parents in this community are feeling, the kids in this community are feeling. If we make one wrong turn, we'll be dead just like our friend in the community. So we're asking as a community, I'm asking as a mother who's been a resident of this city. Somebody said, Galaxy, I was a student at Boynton Beach Elementary School when it was Boynton Beach Elementary School. I was a student there. So I've been here a long time, my whole entire life. And we as a community are asking you to make the right decision. I know you might have to go against what the arbitrator said, but as Mr. Strong has stated, they basically didn't make sense in what they stated. So it's like, what's the next step? So we're asking you tonight to make the right decision, to listen to the community, to the police officers, to make the right decision and do not hire him back. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person, please approach the podium.
Stanley Davis, the father of Stanley Davis III. It's a bittersweet moment. Here it is, we're going back to the situation that's open wounds again. You know, we're supposed to have this bonding and bridge with the police department, but that seems to fade away. Not too long ago, we had a SJ Day, and this officer here shut the road down, everything down, told me it was closed, public park. And this is not the first time it's happened. I don't understand how in our community we can't have nothing. We go through the proper channels, getting permits, everything, for us to be slapped in the face, so it shows you what value we hold in this community, which is none. And I'm gonna say this, and I really don't care how nobody take it. If Mark Sean is hired and I run into that dude, we're gonna hold court in the street. So however it plays out, I really don't give a fuck how it plays out.
and I'm speaking for myself. This ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. My life was ruined that day that I watched my son lay on the asphalt like his mother said. So whatever happened to me, the day I come in contact with that guy, I'm totally fine with that. Whether it's hell or jail, I'm totally fine with that. And I want y'all to understand how I feel. I'm not asking you to side with me. I don't really give a fuck what decision y'all make. I'm telling you the decision I'm gonna make.
Thank you. Next person, please approach the podium.
John Dames, Post Office Box 713, Boynton Beach, Florida, 33425. There's several issues I want to address. The first one is I had an opportunity to look over the report. 35-page report, what I looked at, involving Mr. Mark Nebuchadnezzar's song. So when I looked at it, right, all the loopholes that I saw in there, right, I actually thought I was eating a box of Fruit Loops because there were so many loopholes in that report. And so when you go to arbitration and they see what I read and they decided that he can get his job back, right, what we call that, right, is a fixed fight on Cherry Hill, okay? Because obviously the arbitrator, right, was Jim Crow great-great-grandson, okay, to rule on something like that. Second of all, are you surprised that you lost the arbitration hearing? You've never won an arbitration hearing in the history of the city. You're the #1 city in the state of Florida for lawsuits. You had an ordinance on your books for 100 years where coloreds couldn't be out after dark, okay? You had a little fake parade, and 48 hours later, you came back and you fired the human resource director and every black person that she hired, okay? And not only that, right? You allow somebody to be 20 years as a law enforcement, and he wrecked it. He wrecked this city. He wrecked it. There's a lot of blood. Mark Sohn, I hope you're listening online, but I wish you was here because I don't want to talk to you online. I want to tell you in your face, okay? 36 years in local government I've been, and I'm a union rep. So I don't deal with a lot of issues like this here, okay? But I wish Mark Sohn was here because he has a lot of blood on his hands. He's destroyed a lot of families. And guess what? When his judgment come, the PBA ain't gonna help him. The CRA ain't gonna help him. The CIA ain't gonna help him. And his DNA ain't gonna help him, okay? No sin will go unpunished, not one sin. And I'm gonna leave this city with this. I've talked with a lot of people that work here, former employees, some current, and this city is toxic, okay? And I'm gonna leave you with this. In my Bible, I didn't say Reverend Dame's Bible, I said my Bible, okay? In the book of Deuteronomy, he told me to tell everybody this, everybody that worked for the city, all you bullies and leaders. He said, I curse your country and I will curse your city. Checkmate.
Thank you, sir. Next person, please approach the podium.
Good evening to this commission here on tonight. Johnny Barber, a U.S. citizen and also a pastor of the St. John Missionary Baptist Church. I stand here on tonight to offer comments on the reinstatement of Officer Sohn. I offer not only condolences, but also divine comfort and strength to the family of Stanley Davis III. It's extremely important that the foundation and the pillars of trust that bind a diverse, civilized community together are maintained. The people must trust that those who are elected officials will represent the best interests of the people and not special interest groups. People must trust that hired government employees will honestly fulfill their responsibilities. And when called upon, the people must also trust that fire and rescue will perform their duty of rescuing and putting out fires. The people must trust that law enforcement will serve and protect the people that they have been sworn into duty to serve. What we are witnessing here is a corrosion of trust in an individual's ability to fulfill those duties and maintain the trust of the people of Boynton. the reinstatement of this officer. It also damages the community's trust in the institutions that willfully allow such a threat to infringe upon the relationship between the people and those who have been elected and sworn into duty to protect and serve the people. As elected officials, each of you have a crucial role in restoring this trust. I urge you to consider the impact on this family as well as this community, and let this be an inflection point, a moment where we can work together to rebuild the trust and confidence. Hashtag this ain't right.
Thank you. Next person, please approach the podium.
Good evening, everyone. David Wiggins, Boynton Beach resident. I want you all to consider something. If I were a doctor contributing to the death of a patient, I would not be licensed to practice medicine. If I were a fireman who set fires and committed acts of arson, I would no longer be a fireman. If I were a teacher contributing to the delinquency of a minor, I would not be a teacher. The city of Boynton Beach, you are at a point of inflection, and as Robert Frost stated in his poem, you are at a fork in the road. Are you going to take the road less traveled, which means police accountability? And I have to pause and state this. Anytime people of color, and particularly black people, begin to speak about police accountability, the narrative is always framed around black folks being anti-police. We are not anti-police, we are anti-police brutality. So the question becomes, are you going to hold this officer, this police department accountable? That's the word that we are looking for. We are looking for you to uphold the policies that you have voted to enact on the departments in your city. What are we going to do? Accountability is not something that is a difficult word unless you are used to doing whatever you want to do, going around unchecked. And I see it as the good old boy system. There has to be a check and a balance for police and any other department or any other entity that decides to do wrong in this city. So the question becomes, City of Boynton Beach elected officials, are you going to put accountability as the standard? Or are you going to continue to operate in the status quo of mediocrity? Dr. King said it like this: the time is always right to do the right thing.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Next person, please approach the podium and state your name for the record.
Bryce Graham, second vice president of the National Action Network, Central Florida chapter, under the leadership of Reverend Al Sharpton. We've come here time and time and time after again, and I am sick of it, tired of it. And I might I oppose that it seems like this city is under the indictment of 1619, while we are headed to Project 25, while living in 2024. And why do we have to bargain with you about an officer who has committed egregious acts in this city time and time again? How many more do you want? How many more blood sheds do you want in this community, where it is that our people are calling for justice, accountability, and a simple thing at that, which you should do? Honoring this community, upholding their views, their values, not just for who you think it should be for, but for the black people in this community who have had to deal with this outlandish officer for 20 years. Enough is enough. And so I've come to say today that you all need to make a conscious decision, because like Donald Trump said, there will be bloodshed. And I'm not talking about the bloodshed of those who are immune to injustice. I'm talking about the bloodshed of those who are elected to protect and serve the values of the people in this community. And I'm talking about at the ballot box. We will vote you out. We will get you out at all costs. So I'm saying to the city of Boynton Beach, make the right decision for Cyrus Deal, for Jayden Radon, and Stanley Davis III, and the nameless, faceless victims who've been attacked by this officer, the nameless, faceless victims that we don't know about, and the egregious acts that he has done inside the department. Get it right in this city, unless we are coming with a mighty vengeance. And I'm telling you, a mighty vengeance.
Thank you. Next person, please approach the podium.
Good evening, Commissioner. My name is Herbert Thompson. I'm the grandfather of Stanley Davis III. I'm kind of speechless. I don't talk much. But ever since he been gone, it took a part of me away. Every time I pass on Seacrest and look over at the cemetery, you know, when I got the call, the accident, he was laying out there, covered up in a sheet. They ended up taking me away in the ambulance to the hospital, okay? And it hurt. And I'm just sick and tired of being tired over the years that we've been fighting backward and forward. I mean, like everybody else say, what this officer has, that, and you all, this me saying the way I feel, that you all, blood would be on your hand, because, I mean, you all reinstate him. The same thing happened again. You all got to pay out, you know, and I feel like if it was one of your family, relative, kids, this would have been, we wouldn't even been young over the years discussing this. So I just letting you know how I feel. And I hope you all do the right thing. Just imagine it was one of your grandkids, niece, nephew, and that's about it the way I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person.
Wesley Schuler. I'm gonna tell you what's not right. That we sit down here, play these games with y'all. We know it's conflict of interest at every door, but this is not right. This family should not even go through this situation at all, because I'm gonna tell you, it's a two-tier situation. We know that from the city of Boynton. This is not right, because the situation shouldn't even happen from day one, but it did happen. So now, since we're here dealing with this, what are we gonna do about it? Because this game that y'all playing a little good game. Y'all playing it. Y'all rolling the dice. And then they were talking about waiting until August and stuff like that. That shouldn't even happen. Because I'm going to tell you, when the city manager and all them get together and want to fire people from the city of Boynton, it don't even take long. They escort them out the door. Get the police involved. Police don't have checks and balance. City manager, you're not qualified. You're not qualified. I'm gonna call it for what it is. You're not qualified. You don't even have a background in a situation to do a budget. This is not right for all the city people that putting the trust in this situation. And then y'all sitting up here thinking that y'all want to see if y'all want to hire him back. you done heard the cry. But you know, when it all said and done, this ain't gonna turn out good. So y'all need to do what y'all gonna do right. Make this situation right for the people. Cause y'all, we don't work for y'all. Y'all work for us. Now God bless you.
Thank you. Next person, please approach the podium.
Start off, I want to say my name is Sean Shoemaker, and thank you for having me to speak here. First and foremost, I want to sympathize with the families of everybody who lost their family members due to this officer, but that's not the reason I'm here to speak. I'm here to speak and to share about my friend, Florida Jet, that he's very serious about this position that he's seeking with Boynton Beach City. And I just wanted to share my support for him as well.
Thank you. Next person, please approach the podium. State your name for the record.
Community activist, 106 Northeast Boynton Beach, Florida. I'm just Northeast. I'm all over Boynton. I ain't got no Pacific.
Mr. Orr, can you state your name for the record, please?
Community activist. Okay. Start my time over?
No.
Sir, I'm sorry, you need to state a legal name for the record. Yes, you can restart the time.
She's going to restart your time. Give us 1 second.
My name's Tori, I'm 106, I'm community activist.
Your microphone's not on.
Community activist. This on?
Yes.
All right, community activist, Tori Orr, and I'm here on behalf of Stanley Davis III. You know, like I said, I hate to hear this, to hear it brought up, you know, because I was with SJ. I was with SJ that day he died, you know. We was at the barbecue stand, and I seen him on that bike. I was like, damn, it's a nice bike. And he was like, I was good all year. I was like, that's what's up. And he left in the air. 2 police sitting right there at the car, at the church. You know, he left. I went home, you know, ate my ribs, breezed them through Facebook or whatever, you know, but to say, you know, I did the protest for George Floyd, you know, on Congress Avenue, and we walked around this whole city. And I just promised this time, you know, we're not gonna walk and talk and sing and kumbaya this time, you know, because it's too much. I'm hearing this officer, you know, he's bragging, you know, it's funny to him still. Like, what's going on with this guy? Like, how does, you know, one even think stuff like that funny, you know, taking life? So I told you I wouldn't get my job back. Like, that's what the word is back in our community, that he's laughing and joking. It's funny, you know, but it ain't gonna be funny, you know, come soon. And we just hope and pray that the city of Boynton, you know, all the people in the diocese board that we voted for, the people of Boynton voted for, black, white, brown, yellow, you know, all of y'all are people that got voted in. And we just hope that y'all, you know, do the right thing. We really hope so, because we're not gonna be singing in Kumbaya, man, this time. We're not gonna be walking around, you know what I'm saying, we'll do a unity protest. No, because it's gonna be broken. I thought we did good last year with the city, Dan, at the park, with the community. I thought we did real good, Mr. Woodrow. You know, I thought we did real good, Angela, with the book bag drive and the toy drives. You know, but now it's a matter. Why do these parents have to keep coming up here pleading for their kid for y'all to do the right next thing? You know, we don't want to have to keep coming down here, because like they said, like the guy said, any other time y'all want to do anything, y'all would do it in steadfast. Y'all don't need us to, y'all not contacting the family when stuff is going on. You know, that was kind of hurtful to hear Purnell say, you know, he had to look on Facebook to see that. You know, we got a city attorney, we got an attorney here.
Thank you, Mr. Orr.
I'm not going nowhere, and I'm not worrying about the police either, because nobody ain't moved last week.
Thank you.
Nobody ain't touched nobody last week. So
Thank you, Mr. Orr. Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to, excuse me, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Mr. Orr,
But
come on.
you know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
when them two people were right here
Mr.
last
Orr.
week, they didn't touch him.
I know, Mr.
Did they
Orr.
touch him? Andrew?
Mr. Orr.
Now see, he gonna come over here and touch me though, right?
No,
He gonna
Mr.
come over here
Orr.
and touch me. Because I want to exercise my right like they did last week.
Mr. Orr, thank you for your comments, please.
I'm just so sick of it, man.
Please.
You know, I just
Mr.
want y'all
Orr.
to touch me like y'all did.
No.
To touch me. That's all
No.
that I do.
Tory.
Yes, y'all is. Y'all bullies.
No.
Y'all show it at the biggest level. Y'all do it at the biggest levels, man. What?
Mr. Orr, you're out of order.
Y'all did it at the biggest
Please.
order. I don't care. I know it. I'm
Mr.
just trying
Orr.
to do what you do last week. Do what you do last week. Adjourn it.
Mr. Orr.
You ain't adjourn it now, right?
Mr. Orr, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Linda, good.
Hang on one
good
second.
evening.
Hang on one second. Let's just get the clock started. Okay, go ahead.
Linda, good evening. I do not consent to filing out cards to speak. It's a violation of our oath of office. To uphold and protect the citizens, this is a freedom of speech. I don't believe we should do that. You guys have too much control of us, and we the people have control of you. You don't have control of us. Look what you've done to this kid. That's evil.
Thank you. Does anyone else in the audience like to speak during public comment? This is your time to please approach the podium.
Good evening. My name is Wade King, 235 Northwest 10th Avenue, born and raised, Boynton Beach. Retired educator. Y'all know this wrong, all right? As someone stated earlier, if this had happened to one of our little Caucasian children from our community, we wouldn't be here. I'm gonna go a step further. If this had happened to one of our Jewish children from the community, all y'all would be fired when none of y'all have no job, point blank. If the Jewish community had lost a child the way we lost this child, would none of y'all be here? We vote just like they vote. We breathe air just like they breathe air. Blood run through our veins and heart just like it run through yours. You all, most of you, I don't know you, but I believe some of you have children. If not, you have relatives that have children. Imagine if that was one of yours laying down there on that pavement, bleeding out. This ain't right. I wasn't even coming here today, but a friend of mine insisted. He said, come on, Mr. King, come on, and check this out. This is wrong. Y'all know this wrong. This dude was insubordinate time and time and time again. When you're insubordinate on your job, you get fired. You don't have to wait till you kill 1 or 2 or 3 people. You get fired. When you don't do what you're supposed to do, you get fired. When y'all don't do what y'all supposed to do, guess what? You gonna get fired.
That's right.
The Most High said, touch not one of my little ones. You would prefer to try to tie a millstone around your neck and jump into the ocean. I pray in the Most High that he come down and he correct all this incorrect behavior. And I curse each and every one of you in the name of the Most High that vote to reinstate that boy in his job. And that I pray in the mighty name of our Creator. On all of you, I curse you in the name of Yahweh, because this is wrong. Now y'all do what y'all feel y'all need to do, and my Creator gonna do what he feel he need to do.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other public comment speakers? Seeing no one else approaching the podium, and I don't have anyone online, so public comment is now closed. We'll be moving on to consent. if there are any items they'd like to pull. Commissioner Hay, are there any items you'd like to pull from consent?
Yes, I would like to pull
6.
Oh, what, no, 6.
6.
No, I'm not going to pull that out. No, I'm good.
Okay. Commissioner Cruz, any items you'd like to pull from consent?
No, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, there's no opposed. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to consent bids and purchases over 100,000. Are there any items that my colleagues would like to pull? Commissioner Cruz, any items from 7 you'd like to pull?
Can we give it a minute?
Yeah. We're just going to take a minute. No, it'll be okay. We're good. Okay, so back, consent bids and purchases over 100,007. Commissioner Cruz, are there any items you'd like to pull?
Yes, I originally was planning on pulling 7C. And after there was public comment from Ms. Rady, she talked about, I think she said like 5 items that had a different signature authority, which I'm going to be honest, I hadn't noticed those other items. Specifically, I had only noticed item 7C. But I'll go ahead and like to pull all of those items. City Attorney, can you verify which items those are? Is it 7A, C, D, and E?
There were some items on the regular consent, but if I can quickly clarify what that means and in comparison to the previously proposed ordinance, just because we had so much going on, we pushed that ordinance for now. Let me explain the difference. The ordinance that...
I'm sorry, I think the right, procedurally, just to stop you right there, I think the right thing to do would be just to pull the items and to have like a brief discussion on them, if we can do
Commissioner
that.
Cruz, I understand what you're saying, but what legal is saying is that it wasn't just items that were under consent bids over 100, so that's why City Attorney was making a clarification as to why the
Higher items as
ordinance...
well.
Right, why the ordinance is different. We're actually approving, or would be approving, authority to sign, which the ordinance is to alleviate that middle person, which
So-
is what...
Let's go ahead and pull the items on consent bids and purchases over 100, which would be A, C, D, E, and then I can explain the difference. If
And I
it,
think
Thank you.
Commissioner Hay.
Yep, I'm on my way. Commissioner Hay, do you have any items you'd like to pull?
Yeah, but I would like to pull 7A.
Okay.
But I feel again here that we need a full board, since there's some discussion about this. We have 2 members of a 5-member board absent. And I think we need a full board to really make sure that everybody has input here before we arbitrarily just approve this. Okay? So I say that, I'm saying that we table this until the next meeting, unless it's some kind of time constraint that somebody could convince me.
You're talking about 7A?
I'm going to pull 7A.
But what are you wanting to table? 7A?
The ones that are involving what Commissioner Cruz just stated.
Okay.
And I think it was C, D, and E.
Okay, well, let's go through them one at a time, and then we can, if they need to be tabled.
Okay, on A, which is R 24-155.
Okay, hold. Can we approve the rest that wasn't pulled first?
No, I want this one to be talked about.
I'm
think-
gonna-
What's her name?
But I'm going to go back and do the pulled items. Can we approve, there's a couple that weren't pulled.
And to approve the remaining of consent bids and purchases over $100,000.
Right. Second.
Okay,
Second.
correct. All in favor to approve consent items B and F, state aye.
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 Okay. All in favor, so now we're gonna go to 7A,
Hey,
legal.
I just want staff to talk a little more about that. I think.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Hay, can it be read into the record that what 7A is, and then we can have staff come up?
Proposed resolution number R124-155. And do I want me?
I'll
to
read
the
it.
whole
I'll read
thing?
it for you, Commissioner.
Okay.
Approve and authorize the city manager to sign a piggyback agreement with Ergo Flex Systems Incorporated, DBA Zybic Systems Incorporated for the renovation and upgrading of the Boynton Beach Police Department's Communication Center at 280 High Ridge Road, an amount not to exceed $205,497.21, utilizing State of Florida contract. Staff recommends approval of proposal resolution R224-155. If,
Yeah, just want
Yes.
some explanation, a little further detail.
Okay.
do you want, and just to clarify, do you want detail on the item or detail on the city manager signing, or
On
both?
the item, on the
Oh,
item.
okay, perfect.
On the item.
I see Deputy Chief Zeller and Chief Bruder at the microphone. Would you like to present this
evening.
item?
Deputy Chief Zeller. So,
Is it on?
yes. So this request came from our communications manager, Monique Lewis. So I'm going to start from the beginning. Every year, we do reimbursement for all the calls for service that come into our communications center, from telephone, text message, and we get reimbursed from the county. Historically, those revenues have come in approximately 100,000. This year, it came in at 400,000, and that is directly related to Monique's hard work and making sure that every call is counted for, from police and fire. So those additional revenues, we're putting right back into that center. So this is for new consoles for all of the communication center, 10 new consoles that will be moved into our EOC, in addition to future growth. And we're going to swap those two rooms. So this revenue is actually from their hard work. I'll let the fire chief add additional.
Good evening, everybody. Hugh Bruder, Fire Chief. I just want to echo what the Deputy Chief said, which is through the hard work of the individuals there at the dispatch center, we've been able to get these funds. And I think that, those savings put into that center are going to pay off tenfold to us. Plus, in terms of our future growth potential, moving it into EOC is a very good move, and that allows us, number one, to, as the chief said, to increase technology for our dispatch center, but also allow us at the same time, as we move it over, to make sure that our EOC, as I spoke about at the previous meeting, be able to increase the technology in our EOC and get us, out of the 18th century.
Okay.
You, Chief. Commissioner Hay, do you have any questions on this item?
Motion to.
Commissioner Cruz, do you have any questions on this?
I do not, thank you.
Okay, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve R 24-155. Do I need to read the whole thing? Legal?
No, that's,
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and second for discussion.
okay, go ahead.
I know we're only talking about this one item, but I wanted to talk about, can we talk about different items? Okay. I was really focused on 7C. And then after public comment, I realized that there's more than one item. I wanted to ask, whose idea was to do this, if I may ask, or, how did this get into the agenda?
So it is historical throughout the city commission that the mayor can either sign or the commission can approve the city manager to sign. That ordinance with regard to signing, those would have been things he would have been allowed to assign without bringing things to the commission. All you're doing here is giving the authority for the city manager to sign, because sometimes there is a delay because the mayor is not full-time, sometimes there's a delay in getting contracts signed, and sometimes time is of the essence. For example, with regard to the fire vehicles, that has a certain date, certain quote, so we absolutely have to make sure that is signed and returned ASAP.
And what's the date for that? For the fire contract?
I'm not actually sure what the date is, but the reason why the date is important is because the manufacturers, and even when you read this item, which is ridiculous, that there's a 22% shift in this, but this is industry standard right now, and we're being basically, it's not just our municipality, it's all municipalities with respect to fire apparatus are being held hostage to this contingency amount of money.
Thank you, Chief, but what's the date?
I
Can we
have
find
no
that
i-
out
I
and get
have
back
no
to
I
us?
have no idea what the actual date is. I can tell you that what's happening is that the reason why we don't have a date specific is because the manufacturer, Suffin Fire Trucks, is going to a new engine. And when they go to the new engine, it's going to increase massively the cost. So we have to try to get this in before they increase those costs. And then there's a 3 to 4 year
I think
delay.
it's a good thing that we're doing this, and I think it's a good thing that we're planning ahead for the future, and we're looking to procure the fire trucks, fiscal years ahead of time. I think my concern's a little bit different. So that's why I wanted to know what the date of concern was.
Right. So what
date does this contract have to be signed?
The contract is not signed yet.
No, what date is it supposed to be signed, or if not, it's gonna
Quote,
be a
when does the
problem?
quote expire?
Correct.
Bear with me. I have to look up the agenda item. Bear with me. 16th, 7C. Hopefully it's in the backup. Is it in the cost? Do you know what the backup it's in?
In the backup, I believe that there's the date, but I'm not quite certain on
Yeah,
the
there's
specificity.
7 backup items, so it'll take me a minute just to
But my
find it.
point is, we're so concerned about the date, but we don't even know the date.
City Attorney, it's.
Does that make sense?
The proposal is dated July 10th, and it expires 30 days from July 10th.
Correct.
August 10th or?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So
So it's not, it is within the commission's discretion to allow the city manager to enter into a contract on behalf of the city. If you are not
Per
comfortable.
our current procurement code, which I believe we voted on a few
This
weeks
is
ago.
above
or
our
a month.
procurement code, and that's why it's going to the commission for approval.
Correct, but per our procurement code, the allowable amounts for the city manager to sign are up to $50,000 for non-construction items, and then $200,000 for construction items, is that correct?
Under the procurement code, but
Under-
under the authority of this commission, you can still authorize the city manager to sign.
On a regular timeframe, how would that process go?
Well, it comes to you, and as a board, you vote whether or not, you're doing two things. You're voting on the item, and you're also authorizing the city manager to sign.
Who has signed these contracts in the past?
City manager or the mayor. If
The
you're
city
not,
manager has signed $5 million contracts in the past?
yes. With the approval of the city commission, because you're authorizing
I
it.
don't remember that.
I think what the city attorney is trying to get over is, I'm here full-time, every day. The mayor is part-time. There's been multiple times where contracts, especially with the police department, that weren't signed, that we had to, and I know, Vice Mayor, you've had to come in and sign contracts as well. Sometimes the commission isn't available, so it's either you authorize me to sign it or you authorize the mayor to sign it, either.
But who has been signing those contracts historically, like the fire trucks that are millions of
mayor.
dollars?
It depends. It goes.
The mayor has been
basis-
signing them?
It goes basis by basis, without going through.
Can you give me a direct answer, please?
If I can finish briefly, without going every single contract and the way it's been done in the past, I can't answer that question. However, I have a solution, simple solution.
One second. I'm going to address a concern that I have that I've spoken to you about before. And last meeting, there was an ordinance that I do not believe that was requested by the city commission. Was there any direction or any discussion by the city commission to create the ordinance that was proposed at the last meeting?
The ordinance that was proposed.
It's a yes or no question, please.
Okay.
Did the city commission request to
It's
have?
memorializing what the city has done for the last 30 years.
Did the city commission request that ordinance that was proposed at the last commission meeting?
It was agreed to in a resolution, and therefore we were codifying the resolution, because it technically should be an ordinance and not a resolution, and the commission did vote on the resolution.
But the commission of the city of Boynton Beach requests to have an ordinance brought up at a commission meeting to be voted on. Did we ever have any discussion to have that be brought up to be voted on at a future meeting?
Commissioner Cruz, for me, that is why we have 900 staff members at the city to guide us, especially a legal department, to guide us to make decision and to make recommendations to us to further allow direction and movement of the city forward. So I understand your position, but I think that this can probably be taken off of the dais as far as a conversation
If I
between
may
you and
finish
legal.
speaking, Commissioner Kelly, and thank you for your comments.
And
I
Vice
have
Mayor.
not, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Kelly. I have not yet stated my position. I'm simply asking questions because I'm a bit confused, and I hate the fact that I have to have this conversation right now.
Okay.
I don't.
But this is not a conversation that
And I
should be
have-
had during
Commissioner
consent.
Kelly, I have the
No.
right to speak.
No, Commissioner Cruz, that we're in the middle of consent agenda, and if you would like to have this discussion added as a new agenda item, then we can add it as a new agenda item. But this is not we're not going to continue this conversation as part of the consent agenda. If you want to amend the consent agenda or the motion to have the mayor sign the agreement, then you can do that. It's in your discretion to make that motion. But if you want to have the discussion with regard to the ordinance tonight, then we can add that to new. We can amend the agenda and we can have it added to new. But I'm not going to continue the back and forth with you and legal in the middle of consent agenda. So if you would like to make a motion to modify what we have a motion already on the floor that's been seconded on 7A. We need to proceed with closing that one out, and then we can proceed forward. So that is my recommendation, that if you want to discuss the ordinance tonight, that it be added to new, and we can move on with the consent agenda.
I would like to add a discussion on how we got to add an ordinance at a future meeting. We can do it for the next commission meeting, but I would like a report or an understanding on how that got to the agenda in the first place. Did the commission give direction to request for that to be added to the agenda, to be voted on at a commission meeting? And then second of all, I would like to continue to have a discussion on, it's not that I don't want any particular individual in any position to sign or to not sign. I believe that it is a matter of policy to have a discussion before making those decisions at the staff level. It's something that my understanding is that anything over $50,000 for non-construction, as well as over $200,000 for construction, is something that would come to commission and it would be signed by the mayor. Right now we have a mayor, but obviously there's going to be an election in 8 months. We don't know who that's going to be. And I believe that it's the best benefit for the people of the city to have transparency, accountability, to have some sort of checks and balances, to have somebody
Okay,
read these
can-
contracts.
Commissioner Cruz, we can have that discussion at the next meeting. Let's move on to consent agenda, please. We have a motion on 7A. We have a second. All in favor as far as 7A, say aye.
Aye.
I would like to, my concern for 7A is that are we setting precedent as we are approving this to be signed
Okay,
not
so
by the
then,
mayor?
so then you can modify your motion. If you want it to be signed by the mayor, you can modify your motion at this time.
I would like to amend 7A to be signed the way that it has been signed in the past, which I guess it's the mayor who's been signing it. Not true?
No, we can go back to, and we can certainly, why don't we take a recess and I'll show you the last agendas.
It's okay.
It's
I
just,
don't want to, it's okay. We can just,
Why don't we just table this
No.
item for the next meeting?
unfortunately,
Okay.
we can't because of a time.
Huh?
Just have the mayor.
I would recommend
Okay.
a
Just have
motion
them-
to
yeah.
amend items A, C, D, and E, to amend them to have the mayor sign. I think that will alleviate your concerns, and then we can certainly continue the discussion
After the
later.
ordinance, correct,
Okay.
after that
I'll go ahead
discussion.
and amend 7A.
So it'll be a motion to approve and
A.
authorize. Do you want to read it?
Oh, yes. I would like to amend items 7A, C, D, and E to strike out the signature and to have the mayor sign, as is my understanding that has been done before, to be able to move forward.
Okay. So we have a,
The question still remains if the mayor is not available, and it needs to be acted upon.
well,
We need a backup.
We will make it happen. We will certainly make it happen.
You make it happen?
Correct.
Okay, then I can support it. I can support it then.
Yes, sir.
thank you, Commissioner Hay. So on 7A, let's, so there's an amended motion of 7A. Can we have a second, please?
Second.
All those in favor of 7A as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? No. 7A passes. 7C, we briefly discussed that. Is there any other discussion on 7C? If not, can I have a motion to approve as amended?
So move
Is there a second?
for R24-159.
Thank you, Commissioner Hay. Thank you, Commissioner Cruz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes, 7A passes. 7D, legal, city attorney, would you like to read that
Yes.
resolution, please?
Proposed resolution number R24-160, approve award of a rebid of number UTL 24-045, landscape maintenance service for utility sites, and authorize the city manager as amended to reflect the city mayor to sign a contract with Brightview Landscape Services Incorporated of Bellevue, Pennsylvania. The estimated annual expenditure is $229,547.35, with staff requesting an additional $60,000 for an unforeseen needed request for a total expenditure of $289,547.35. The bid allows for 3 one-year renewals. Staff recommends approval of resolution number R24-160 as amended.
Thank you. Commissioner Cruz, you pulled this item. Do you have,
Yes, the only reason I pulled it was to make the amendment. So I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve as amended.
okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving 7D as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, the motion passes. 7D. 7E, city attorney, if you would read that into the record.
Proposed resolution number R24-161, approve and authorize the city manager as amended the mayor to sign a limited term extension amendment for repairs and emergency services for water distribution, wastewater collections, and stormwater utility services. Staff recommends approval of proposed resolution number R24-161 as amended for the mayor to sign the contract.
Thank you, City Attorney. Commissioner Cruz, you pulled this item?
Yes, for the same reason, to make the amendment for the signature.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve.
Okay.
As amended, sorry.
We have a motion to approve as amended. We have a second. All those in favor of this motion say aye.
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 Any opposed? No, the motion passes. Moving on to public hearing, we don't have anything under public hearing. 9 is city manager's report, none. We're moving on to 10. A, city clerk, if you would please read the ordinance into the record.
Proposed ordinance 24-013, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending Article 3 of Chapter 18 of the Boynton Beach Code of Ordinances entitled Municipal Police Officers Retirement Trust Fund, amending Section 18-165 to update the definition of compensation of salary or reflect current practice, amending Section 18-169 to add 20-year retirement of members hired after October 1st, 2019, who retire after October 1st, 2024, amending Section 18-174 to update required minimum distribution age in compliance with Secure Act 2.0 changes, and amending Section 18-175 deferred retirement option plan to reflect change in definition of compensation of salary, providing for codification, conflict, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you, city clerk. Is there any discussion on this item? Commissioner Turkin, I saw you come in. Do you have any comments on this item?
We can just get a brief overview.
Perfect.
I can,
Deb,
I can provide that
Okay.
if you want.
Thank you.
Not on July 2nd, but the prior commission meeting, we approved an amendment to the police officers and captains CBA agreement. Part of that agreement was to change their retirement from 25 years back to pre-COVID, which was a 20-year retirement. This ordinance simply codifies what is needed in the code to reflect those changes to the CBA agreement.
So can you repeat the last part? About it's already been something that was voted on.
Yes, this was something that
And
was.
this is just to codify what this commission had already
That
decided.
is correct. And the CBA amendment was approved by the entire board.
So at this point, this would just make this legally sound and bound with what the commission had already decided on.
That's correct.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hay, do you have any
I'm good.
questions or comments? Thank you. Commissioner Cruz?
No comments, thank you.
Okay. With that, may I have a motion to approve ordinance number 24-013? And a second. Okay, I'll turn to the city clerk now for a roll call.
Commissioner Hay?
Aye.
Commissioner Turkin? Commissioner Cruz?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kelly?
Yes.
In a roll call vote, the motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on to 10B, the Adopt a Road program. Looks like we have staff approaching for their presentation.
Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Kevin Ramsey.
Good
Interim
evening.
Public Works Director, and this is Annalee Holmes, Deputy Public Works Director, and she's going to give you all a presentation on the Adopt a Road program.
Very good, thank you.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, city staff, and residents. The Public Works Department is excited to present the Adopt a Road program. The Adopt a Road program is a continuous part of the city's beautification initiative. The program's mission is based on nurturing our community's involvement and commitment to a cleaner, safer city that we can all continue to be proud of. Creating the look and feel that attracts new residents and businesses, supporting both economic development and a sense of community. Who can apply to adopt a road? It could be individuals, businesses or corporations, or nonprofit groups. Volunteers will agree to adopt a 1-mile stretch of road. They would have to sign a 2-year agreement. They would have to commit to monthly litter pickups and provide us with data reports. The data reports is going to be the number of participants or volunteers that participated in any particular event, the number of hours, and the weight of the litter that was picked up that day. The city will agree to provide safety briefings before each event. And the safety briefing will touch on things that will keep the volunteers safe while they're picking up litter, such as no headphones or headsets. To avoid contact with litter, we're going to issue gloves, and be aware, and grabbers to pick up litter. Things like being aware of their surroundings, being aware of traffic, and lifting, how to lift. We're also going to provide the litter cleanup kit, and that's what we have here, Kevin. Look at that. That's going to involve the grabber that I had before, safety vests, gloves, trash bags, and we're going to have those buckets. And safety glasses if needed. We'll install recognition signs, and we'll acknowledge the group or individual on our website. The name of the business or the individual or nonprofit group would go here at the bottom, where it says Beautification and Streets Division. That's right. Our fees. The initial fee is going to be $250, and that will include the sign-up costs and one sign. That's one of these signs. With the name involved. Right. The annual fee after would be $100. If a second sign is needed, then it would be an additional $100. If one sign is purchased, then the sign will go at the midpoint of the mile stretch. If two signs are purchased, one will go at the beginning and one at the end. We have some exciting news. We're going to waive the fees for the first year of the program. So that initial $250 will be waived.
Wait a minute. Wait.
We also we're gonna have a safety video online with information on the program, some things to do, what to do, not to do. As I mentioned before, we're going to have safety briefings prior to each event. And we're going to issue protective gear. We're also going to encourage our volunteers to do things like hydrate, wear hats to protect yourself from the sun, sunscreen, that sort of thing. We're going to have warning signs that say litter pickup, just like the ones in the slide. And to be aware of their surroundings, avoid hazardous materials. So if there are things like needles or any hazardous chemicals or anything like that, we want them to notify us and not touch those things. We are only going to allow daytime litter pickup. Each volunteer will also have to sign a waiver prior to each event. Why adopt a road? It helps to make the city cleaner and safer, and a safer place to enjoy. It's cost-effective for businesses, and it gives them 24/7 exposure. This is free advertising. And if you sign up within the first year, that $250 is waived. So you're getting free advertising for 1 year. It allows organizations to build rapport with their customers and residents. They can engage their employees and have the employees, it could be a team building event. I mentioned earlier that we'll be collecting data from the groups after each event on how much litter was picked up. It's going to be weighed, and we're going to document it because we want to memorialize that to see. This is litter that's not going in our drains or stormwater drains, and it's a part of the beautification process that the city wants is bringing forth to the community. We're engaging the community, getting them involved, cleaning up, there's keeping the streets clean and encouraging people to get involved and volunteer. It helps promote volunteer efforts in our community. It strengthens the community ties, and it assists the road cleanup costs and beautification. So eventually, it will cost us less to clean up. We also have a video that we're going to play for you. After that video, we'll open up to any suggestions or questions. This is going to be on our website.
Adopt a Road program. Thank you for helping us keep our community clean and beautiful. Always wear your safety vests and gloves. Safety first. Work in teams of at least 2 people. There's safety in numbers, and it's more fun. Bring plenty of water to stay hydrated, especially on hot days. Use grabbers and trash bags provided by the city. This makes the job easier and safer. If you find large or hazardous items, don't try to remove them yourself. Report them to the city for proper disposal. These simple steps ensure that everyone remains safe and effective in keeping our roads clean. Never pick up hazardous materials like needles or suspicious objects unless you are confident you can do it safely. Contact the city for safe removal. Avoid working on uneven ground and surfaces with rocks or mud. Participants must stay outside of the roadway pavement and not enter the roadway or shoulder. Do not pick up litter within medians and always face oncoming traffic while picking up litter. Avoid areas where snakes, wildlife, or water may be present. Do not pick up litter within medians, roadways, or construction areas. Don't overexert yourself. Take regular breaks to rest and rehydrate. If the weather is bad, reschedule your cleanup. Safety comes first. Ensure all trash bags are properly tied and left at designated pickup points. Avoiding these common mistakes helps maintain a safe and effective cleanup effort. If you would like more information, you can visit our website and click on How Do I to be routed to the Adopt a Road information and application. Thank you for being part of Boynton Beach's Adopt a Road program. Together, we can keep Boynton Beach beautiful.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? I know, Commissioner Hay, I saw your hand up. If you would like to kick it off, thank you.
Well, sure. First of all, I heard about the waiver of $250. Andrew, I'm working with the Omegas. What about, are they going to receive this?
It's for all people, right? Yes. Anyone who applies, individuals, businesses.
Okay, but they've already applied, and I'm not where we are in the process, They have not applied?
They have not applied yet.
Okay, so they will get, okay.
Right.
Okay, and you said there's a mile distance.
A mile stretch.
It's gonna be like plus or minus, because some people, I think they, like between Seacrest and US 1, is that a mile, I guess? What will you do when it's not a mile? Is there a play there, or plus or minus?
Well, there's always a play, right? I mean, certain segments aren't going to stop right at 1 mile. You may have a street from, I'd say, Hypelux on Congress Avenue coming up, and all of a sudden the 1 mile hits right in the middle of an opening of a neighborhood. That would probably go to the other side or beforehand. The thought of 1 mile was to have multiple opportunities for multiple businesses, churches, individuals to participate. Not like a whole stretch of Congress from 30th all the way up to Hypelux. That would be too much for someone. They could never maintain that. You know, so we're trying to get community involvement,
Gotcha.
try to become
I
community.
think this is an excellent program. I even like to see it extended to front yards.
We
you
have,
know,
we have many
yards in general,
ideas. We were
some kind of
actually building this
competitive-
PowerPoint. We were actually coming up with different things. Yeah.
That's the way to adopt your front yard.
Open to any suggestions.
Okay, okay. From the time that they apply for a road until the time they can go get it, what are we talking? It's a short time, a month, 2 months, 3?
Well, the application is going to be online, and we're not quite sure how that timeline works out right this minute. But I would assume probably within 2 or 3 weeks, once everything gets established, because they get how many people's in their volunteer group, if everything's been signed off, then the city's going to get together their care package with their bucket of goodies, you know, and we'll get them started off in the first meeting. So I'd say within 3 weeks of the initial, it may be quicker once we get going. I don't see it lasting. It won't take that long once we get everything established and rolling.
And it also gives us time to get the signs made.
Good, good. How you guys plan to market all of this in terms of, you're gonna do it on our webpage, you're gonna have signs over the city, or you're gonna have meetings, or how are you gonna promote it?
Well, the great thing about this sign is we can put this, we have to put signs out along the markers where we have to go anyway. So this would be a great way of starting to have some posts with these signs on it. So all we have to do is come back out, take off the bottom sign and put in the organization, the church, or the individuals. So I wouldn't sign the whole city, but we definitely put some on all the main thoroughfares. And then as that comes up, they'll say, what is that? There'll be a website on there so they can hopefully get involved, you know, so that's the plan.
Good, Kev. One last question right now. Those ambitious organizations who may want to do more than one, how you going to control that? You going to say, hey, give me $500 and you off and running, or?
Well, the initial is once, right? So.
It'll be limited to 1 per person or 1 per organization.
1 street per person.
Right.
But I'm saying, you know, if somebody
No,
wanted
the
to do
waiver.
9th and 10th Avenue, could they, or could they, I mean?
That's a good question. That's why it's in.
Because you have some organizations are much larger than others, and they may want to go for 2
areas.
rather than 1 street.
The first one
just
will
a
be
question.
waived. And the second one, they would have to pay for.
I got
Right.
you.
Andrew?
Okay, that's good enough.
Okay. Does anyone else, Commissioner Turkin?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Annalee, Kevin, thank you guys so much for this presentation. Commissioner Hay, thanks for bringing this forward, and I think this is one of your initiatives, so I want to make sure that you get credit for this. And, you know, I think this is something so simplistic that probably should have been thought of a while ago, but, you know, that's why we're here. We're here to get better, and we're here to learn and ask the right questions. You covered up the majority of the questions I had with the liability. That was my number one thing, because, you know, we can have volunteers, but if it's a city program and someone gets hurt or picks up a dirty needle, you know, I want to make sure that the city's protected from any liability there. This may be a question for the city attorney, and just to reiterate, it can be businesses and also nonprofits, correct?
Correct.
All right. Would there be a conflict if our local unions, which I believe are nonprofits, contribute to this program? I think, you know, they're part of the city, and, you know, they're strength and force. And, you know, I know the firefighters have done a great job with beach cleanups in the past, and I'd really like to see the police and the fire union, you know, help with this beautification initiative.
I don't see where that would be a contract, but because of the way things are right now, each and every one of these Adopt a Road applicants and their contracts will have to come before the city commission for approval.
Okay, so there'll be some audit to make sure that there's no conflicts.
Correct.
Okay.
And legal has proposed a waiver that's on the application for the group to sign. And I believe they're doing individual waivers on the day of as well. But as for any actual contract at this point, which this is essentially a contract, it'll have to come before the city commission for approval.
Okay, perfect. And when you say waivers, you mean in reference to liability, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Liability for personal injury. You know, the areas that they're going to be in are technically not intended for pedestrian traffic. So, you know, there is a higher risk of, you know, not a pothole, but a hole or uneven surfaces and those sorts of things. So obviously, we need to protect the city from that sort of liability.
Okay, no, perfect. Again, great presentation, and kudos to you, Commissioner Hay, for bringing this forward.
Thank you. One last quickie. Will the organizations select their own street, or you will be assigning the streets?
Plan to section out the city in 1 mile increments, and they can choose where they want to go, right? But it's for, I mean, it should be for businesses within the city of Boynton Beach. We don't want someone from Palm Beach or Jupiter coming down here just to advertise, you know.
Yeah, because, you know, some groups probably want to, or businesses may want to put up multiple signs of their own business.
That's fine, but it should be Boynton Beach, right? We're trying to have the community get involved with this, whether it's businesses or individuals or churches, local. That's fine, but we like to have it local, right? That's the idea, yes. But yes, they can have multiple locations. I would say that's fine.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Cruz, do you have any questions or comments?
I do not, thank you.
I just had one question. You spoke about volunteers. What's the age requirement? Are we putting an age requirement on volunteers? I know typically with like beach cleanups and all that, there is a certain age.
We
for
haven't
liability.
specifically done that. I know one of the things that we discussed is that a parent can sign a waiver for a minor child. And so, you know, certainly we should probably discuss maybe 14 and up, or at least, you know, not, at least teenagers, I would believe, and not anyone too young. But obviously, maybe that's something the commission should talk about now, if that's something you have a preference for.
Yeah, my concern, obviously, the younger the child, the more likely they are to possibly pick up something that's hazardous or can harm them or hurt them. And so I know most of the time, most volunteer requirements are, you know, 10 and up or 12 and up. And so that would be kind of my recommendation, to look at what maybe we've done in other times for volunteers, because I'm not, I mean, my kids are a little bit older now, but I wouldn't bring my, if I had a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old to run along a road and pick up garbage, as much as that would, you know.
Correct.
So I want, but I want parents to not have to really think and worry about that. And so I would like to consider, you know, to put an age on that. I think it's important that we're being mindful of that as well. And so I know that my daughter has done some of the beach cleanups with me, and she's 11. So, you know, I would say 12 and up, especially since it's roadways. We're not talking about, you know, on a beach.
Right.
I would say 12 and up as a baseline. That would be my recommendation for that. But to definitely have an age minimum on our requirements, I think would be a smart move. So,
Right. We'll definitely discuss that. Thank you.
okay. Thank you. I don't have any other questions. Thank you guys so much for the presentation. I think this is, I believe this is something the mayor had brought up initially, but this is something that we have all been supportive of and behind and are very excited to see this happen. And I look forward to seeing who is the first to adopt a street. So, although I heard we have one already in the pipeline,
Oh,
so
yeah.
we'll see if anyone beats them. All right, moving on to 10C, I asked for this item to be added, future agenda items. You know, we've been seeing them kind of sit for a while, and I was talking to staff, and one of the things that I had thought of was for staff to take the first three and talk to whatever commissioner had brought that forward and find out maybe if they're prepared to have it on the next meeting, that for staff to just put three of these on every agenda coming up, so that we can start working through them and having discussions. Because my understanding is that staff is kind of looking to us for some direction on those items. They need to know so that they're not looking at 10 different departments and trying to narrow down and read our minds. So I was thinking it would be helpful for staff to get with whatever commissioner brought that future agenda item forward and see if it can go on the next agenda item, so that they're also not just being thrown on and people are caught off guard, but so that they're prepared to discuss that item as well. And so that was kind of my thought, was to try and get through some of these and get them on the agenda for discussion, so that staff has some direction from the commission. So that was what I wanted to speak about. I see hands, Commissioner Turkin.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. No, totally agree with you. I'm glad you added this, because I was just going to say for closing comments, what's going on with the future agenda items. I know maybe 6 months ago, maybe a little bit longer, I asked this commission, I asked the city manager to say, hey, can we get an update on these TBDs during the city manager's report? Happened one time, never really happened again. You know, I know how busy you guys are. This is me holding everyone accountable, right? But accountability comes from within first. We hold ourselves accountable, we hold our peers accountable, then ultimately people hold us accountable. And so, you know, whether it's the first three, and again, a lot of these I know, you know, there's potential obstacles, right? Like the restricted D covenant. I've been on it for this one for the last 3 or 4 months, and I know that we're waiting on some grant documents. You know, and there's a lot of different variables that kind of intermingle a lot of these different things, so totally understand. But I think it's important for the public to see where the update is, because when the city manager or the city attorney or deputy or assistant city manager gives me a call, says, hey, here's an update, right? Does the public typically see that? No, right? And so I think the people who come here and make the time, you know, out of their work schedule to see what's going on, or maybe go online or look at the agenda, you know, on the city website, can see, hey, you know, we're going to be talking about the ARPA funds, you know, October 4th. Let me mark my calendar. You know, let me plan ahead and coordinate and move some things around if I need to move some things around to do so. So, you know, it's a very simple thing. And if it's, hey, there's no update, this is why. Right. That's all we're asking for. You know, it's just, I get it, we're busy, but like, I think this is something that's easy with a staff of 900 employees that we could get done. You know, and I'm not gonna throw anyone under the bus, but there's many times I come here and I'm like, hey, you know, you could be doing something, right? I mean, we all wear many hats. You know, I know you're retired, but you put in your work, Commissioner. Hey, you put in a long career, so we all wear many hats, and you know, I'm just asking for you guys to work as hard as we do. We, you know, I'll speak for myself, and I'm sure my colleagues do too. We work hard. I know you guys work hard, but we're all working full-time jobs, and this is a part-time position. So there's going to be a gap in accountability. There's going to be a gap of follow-up, and so that needs to come before here, right? And so I 100% agree, whether it's the first 3, first 5, first 6, city manager's report, I don't care how it's done, but it needs to be done. Yeah. And if there's time to giggle and there's time to do other things during the workday, there's time to jump around and play video games, you know, there's definitely time to get this stuff done. Yeah. You know, so I'll take my take my boss hat off, put the leader one back on. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Charking. Commissioner Hay, do you have any comments on this?
I have a few comments. Just keep working, you'll be able to retire one day. I was going to talk about this also because I just feel that, I'm tired of looking at TBD. One of our residents, might have been Harry Woodward, stated that if you don't have a date on it, it's just a wish list, okay? And I agree with that 110%. But I do feel that some of these are what I would term low-hanging fruit, and I would like to see maybe you approach it from that standpoint. Some of these we can just kind of knock off, and others would take maybe a little more time, okay? So just to arbitrarily say, let's take the first 3 or the first 4, or whatever that number may be, I think we should, don't waste a lot of time on it, but just sort of give a minor prioritization of these future agenda items. But I certainly would like to have a date on these when we're going to be addressing them. And if it's not, because initially I was thinking one time is if all of these are TBDs, then eliminate future agenda items. We don't need them, okay? Because you just, everybody's trying to compete to get something on the list, and that's not a good use of your time nor our time, at least my time. I'll talk for myself. And so I don't have a problem, but I do see where it can be beneficial if we would just approach it a little bit different than just putting something out there. I mean, it seems like you go to sleep at night and you have a nightmare and you come in and put it on the list. So that's not the way I see it. So I like to see it prioritized, take care of the low-hanging fruit, and let's put a date on them.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Hay. Commissioner Cruz, do you have any comments on this item?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. So staff, do you have enough kind of direction on this item to move these, try and move through some of these future agenda items? And
Yeah, some of the things I do agree with you guys on. I think there's some low-hanging fruit we can kind of get through. I want to say some of the items we actually brought up during the budget and that was actually presented.
And there might be some that just need to be removed, and so I would think that staff could just talk to the commissioner who brought it forward and see if it still needs to come before the commissioner or not.
Yeah, correct. That's what I was just discussing with the city attorney. What we're going to do is break down and triage all the different future agenda items that each commissioner and the mayor have. Just get kind of a level of importance. Obviously, some of these things are, they definitely have more moving parts than some of the others. So, but some of the things that I know we can get done will probably, in the future, what I would like from the commission as far as direction is when we do ask for a discussion, just maybe to provide a date with that discussion that you guys would like to have. So if it's, and I'll give you a perfect example, update on the ARPA funds. If you guys want to provide maybe a date of a month or 2 months in the future that we can actually have it as a deadline. And if it's a little too convoluted or something like that, and I consult with staff and we're not able to do it, I will update you guys on it, and then we'll have to be fluid and we can move the day.
Perfect. Thank you.
I got a response to that, Vice Mayor. So I get that, but I think it's staff's priority to identify what are the roadblocks to have that discussion. Because we could sit up, and this is just for example only, we could sit up here and have a conversation about a deed restriction or restricted covenant on Harvey Oyer. Do we have all the facts? Do we have all the what ifs? Do we have everything in front of us? No. So how can we all make an objective and educated decision that's fact-based without having all that? So I think it's case by case that we have to look at this to identify, all right, hey, is there, what roadblocks could we run into? Is there some? No. Great. Let's go ahead and put it on the agenda. Like for me, and this is just for me, like we appointed the city manager for a reason. We appointed the city attorney for a reason, because we trust and give you guys autonomy to expedite whatever process we need. And I stand firm on that in all avenues, right? Like I mentioned before, we're part-time, we're not full-time. And so, you know, it's y'all's job to identify, okay, here, we can go ahead and get this started. We can get this conversation started. You know, I don't know how else my peers think, but, you know, I think it's pretty practical to just say, hey, we can, you know, nothing's holding back. Let's go ahead and get this conversation started, because that's how we can get business moving. You know, you hear too many times that government moves slow, right? And I mean, I've said it a million times, it is what it is. There's a lot of red tape. You know, there's a lot of different steps that we have to go through. But I think identifying, you know, what roadblocks we can eliminate and what we can just get to, you know, mitigates that timing.
Right.
And so, you know, just practical, good, best judgment. You know, obviously there's gonna be legal roadblocks, but if there's not, put it on the agenda.
Right.
Just put it on the agenda. Let's start the conversation, because the last thing I want is we're not talking about it to get direction because staff thinks we don't want to talk about it yet, right? You know, I mean, it's just, I don't know, maybe I'm looking at it wrong. It's just pretty practical for me.
No, and that's why I brought this up, is maybe, you know, putting a couple on, you know, the next agenda to get that discussion moving after speaking with whoever the commissioner is who put it on the agenda, just saying, hey, are we ready to have this discussion? Can we put this on the next agenda? To get these moving for that exact purpose, so that you're not trying to guess, we're not trying to wonder what's going on or what's not going on. So I think we're all on the same page as far as, you know, moving these future agenda items onto an agenda to get the discussion started, so.
And like I'll end with this is, you know, this is our strategic plan, right? You know, I'm saying literally here, but our strategic plan is to execute. You know, we've heard time and time again that we can write a bunch of stuff, it's great, we can budget for it, but we need to follow up and we need to execute. And, you know, this hand needs to talk to the right hand, and I just think that, you know, we can't waste time. You know, we can't waste time. Time is valuable. Time is money, right? And so I think whatever we need to do, let's do it. You know, because otherwise we're gonna have a strategic plan. Nothing's gonna happen, or it's gonna take a while for everything to get done, and you know, there's no need for that. So that's where I'm at. I support that 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever you want. Doesn't matter to me. Just get it done.
Commissioner.
Thanks.
Okay, if nobody has any other comments, any closing comments from staff or from commission, may we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. The meeting is adjourned. It is 8:38 p.m. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.